This is Old Unit Part 2, but not really. I'm explaining what happened after Old Unit Part 1. This is just me releasing the secrets. It's been a year and a few months since the release of Old Unit. Figuring that I was in a terrible state to be creating, I cut the movie short and left it at that. Said I retired, yet I still stand here and do random shit. I'm at the point where I have nothing else to lose, and so you're getting this video because I'm a villain, not a monster. I'll be taking this video in a different approach and manner. I had a video called what the UCU was going to be and I kept inserting passive-aggressive jokes in there, but I'm a bit different in mindset now, so you don't need to worry. I'll be straightforward with my work. I'm glad there's folks who speculated what happened after, and someone made a fan comic continuation. Some folks almost came close to the initial aftermath, but nobody came close to what I had in mind. I will tell and show you everything that I've been holding on to up till this day. I'll show you in chronological form. Just to recap, okay, remember that Old Unit Part 2 opening video I made that turned out to be a big troll? I think I followed the initial script a little bit, difference being Akinori doesn't bash his head against the wall. Let's open the script for real this time. Right where we left off, it says he is shot but blows himself up to let the others escape. At home, his photo is put on a shrine and the others grieve. Angry, Akinori looks for answers. He goes into a Yakuza hangout and beats up the men. Upon getting home, he is asked by Shang about what happened. The caller informs Shang by phone. Shang grabs Akinori by the shirt and yells at him before breaking down himself. I think the plan I had for the scene is that Akinori's super fucking pissed off and he's like confused, and then upon Shang grabbing him, staring him down, yelling at him, Akinori starts like crying and shit, and Shang just starts tearing up and he just says forget it, and he just, I don't know, cries. It's fucked. It's crazy because Akinori is just this, he's younger, but he's not a teenager, he's not a kid, he's like a young adult and he's still figuring out his emotions and all that. But he just goes on this unhinged fucking rampage in search of vengeance, and he just ultimately cannot do anything to bring Shaiji back no matter what he does. Yoichiro tries to hide his pain, but ends up spilling his tears silently. Shaiji died that night, and the three are left with the 5 stages of grief. The next day, they get a call from the caller, who gives his condolences. The caller informs them that the people who attacked them were not Keihatsu, but Kamiko Musubu's company. He also says that after Akinori's actions the day before, Kensuke, one of the people Akinori fought in the hideout, plans to kill them for humiliating him. The caller says that Kensuke was going to find them another day, but decided to go to a concert of some kind. The old unit takes advantage of this despite questioning the caller's allegiance, as to stop Kensuke before he finds them first. The three show up and hide themselves among the crowd, searching for Kensuke. Akinori spots Kensuke in the VIP section on the 2nd floor, gets past the guards and confronts him. Meanwhile, Yoichiro and Shang are occupied with several of Kensuke's men on the 1st floor. Kensuke escapes, with his men fighting Akinori first. A chase happens and they go to the rooftop, where Akinori fights several tough opponents. He is nearly beaten, but emerges triumphant. Kensuke and Akinori have a violent and grueling fight in the snow, as it began to snow when they were in the concert area. Blood paints the white, and Kensuke decides to stab Akinori. Akinori overpowers Kensuke and stabs him back. The two lay in the snow, with blood beginning to pool. Kensuke asks how Akinori found him, and why he decided to hunt him down for no reason. Akinori replies that he was informed by someone, and that he was going to stop Kensuke before he found them. Kensuke is confused, but is bleeding out. Before he passes, he says that he never planned to and that someone must have lied. He dies. Akinori, shocked by this information, gets up from the snow and bleeds everywhere. Yoichiro and Shang arrive at the rooftop, seeing Akinori in a terrible state. Yoichiro grabs Akinori as he falls to his knees. Akinori, whispering in a stuttering voice. He says that the caller had lied to them. Xiang stands there, frozen in shock, with his eyes wide and wrinkles forming beneath them. Akinori mutters his final words, "It's cold," before passing away. Yoichiro and Shang stand there for a moment, realizing what had just happened. Akinori had died young and would never grow to experience adulthood in a proper form. At home, Shang breaks down and destroys the apartment. Under a stoic and calm persona, he is a broken man. Yoichiro sits and watches in horror. Shang wants to run away and escape the situation he and Yoichiro are in. Suddenly, the phone goes off. Shang angrily yells into the phone, vowing to kill the caller. The person behind the phone is not the caller this time. The person calling is Muscle Sato. Sato explains that he called to inform them that a convention is happening somewhere for many crime syndicates alike, and that Kamiko Musubu would be there. Shang asked why he needed to know Kamiko Musubu would be there. Saito responds that there is a plot to overthrow Kamiko Musubu, and that he is a part of a three-way battle. Kamiko plans to turn the Musubu enterprises clean, halting the moonlighting drug operations of her father, becoming a legitimate pharmaceutical and factory production company. Saito wants to take over to keep the drug operations by convincing Kamiko to hand him leadership with no aggression, a passive transfer. The other party is Wanjan Jun, who is supposedly the caller. He wants to have Kamiko assassinated so that he can take over and further grow the Musubu criminal empire. Saito says that he is working with Janjun to foil his plans in the end, so that he can prevent him from killing Kamiko. Shang asks what he wants from them. Saito says that he doesn't expect anything, and that Shang can do whatever he wants with the information. He hangs up. Yoichiro says that they should leave as soon as possible. Shang says that they couldn't if they tried, because the caller wants them to come. If they went anywhere else, they would be killed by the Keihatsu. The caller would not leave loose ends. Yoichiro angrily rejects the existence of the Keihatsu, calling it a bluff. Shang looks to Yoichiro and says that everyone involved has to die, regardless of their intentions. He recognizes that it's not his character, but says that it's a death wish. They would never be able to live peacefully, even if they managed to escape. Yoichiro nods, realizing that this may be their only option. The two go to Shaiji's armory and take whatever is left. Before we continue to the last act, let me try to answer some possible questions. So, what happened to Mr. Kim? In Old Unit Part 1, Mr. Kim is revealed to have been killed. It was actually going to be revealed after Shaiji died when Yoichiro checks in with him. He opens the door and finds him dead. The briefcases go missing after it was found under a floor tile. A Keihatsu member appears at the door, intending to clear the office of any evidence. He has a fight with Yoichiro and is killed. Yoichiro goes home after, informing Shang. Why is the second act sudden, empty, and short? And what is Kamiko doing at the moment? The second act was supposed to introduce a sub-story kind of thing, where Kamiko plans to shut down all illegal activity to go clean. Muscle Saito tries convincing her to let him take over, but she won't budge. She also survives an assassination attempt. At home, the old unit is coping with Shaiji's death. Shang makes 4 bowls of food by instinct and cries while he eats. There is an empty seat and a meal for nobody. What is the caller doing at the moment? The caller is mauling. What were in the briefcases? Private information regarding the Musubu Company, the Keihatsu, the crime syndicates, and the government. The Keihatsu prevented themselves from being exposed and obtained more private information from others during it. Double win. Why did the caller want the old unit to go after Kensuke? Well, the caller is petty, I guess. There's a cool shot with a bunch of Keihatsu snipers all around Japan, trailing Shang and Yoichiro's car. Plus, people in certain areas to ambush the vehicle in case they take a detour to escape. In a convention center or someplace, Kamiko is on stage, detailing her plans of a clean conversion, intending to turn the company into a legitimate business. She asks to sever ties with a few crime syndicates while remaining neutral, intending to give away territory as a settlement. It's full of triads, yakuza, etc. and a truce. It feels like an auction. Meanwhile, on a platform above, there are knocked out guards. There are Keihatsu snipers all on standby. There's a silhouette of the caller. Saito is on the side of the stage watching Kamiko with a stern look. He glances at the dark platform above, recognizing a sniper scope reflection. He looks back at Kamiko and up again. He can't run on stage because he doesn't know if they'll shoot immediately. Kamiko continues to talk about the property and her plans. Individuals in the crowd ask questions, she answers. The snipers focus on Kamiko, without realizing Shang and Yoichiro are on the ends of the platform, geared up with the heaviest weaponry Shaiji had. The caller gives the cue just when she's ending. Just as she turns her back, red dots appear on her. The crowd yells, Saito runs on stage and shoves her to the floor. Gunfire ensues, barely missing the two, who escaped unharmed. Shang and Yoichiro light up the snipers, killing them. Immediately, multiple armed gunmen enter the room, closing the doors. They fire upon the crowd, killing 80% of the room. Some fire back, but many are unsuccessful. Musuba henchmen appear, immediately being gunned out. They fire back, taking out a few gunmen. It becomes a three-way battle when Shang hops down to fire at the Musuba henchmen, and Yoichiro fighting the Keihatsu. Shang kills all the henchmen and fires upon Kamiko, who flees backstage. Yoichiro finishes fight and follows. Multiple Keihatsu enter the building, with Musubu henchmen and several crime syndicates fighting back. Kamiko and Saito are running through the building amidst the gunfire, with Shang chasing and Yoichiro barely catching up. They reach some stairs. Saito tells her to go up without him. Shang arrives and fires at Kamiko as she goes up the stairs. Enraged, Saito beats up Shang and throws him. Yoichiro arrives, intending to de-escalate the situation, with Saito landing hits on him. Saito says that he can't let them kill Kamiko. Yoichiro says he didn't intend to. Saito says that with what Shang did, he's at the point of no return. Yoichiro agrees, saying, "Same here," before taking a fighting stance. The two fight, with Shang eventually joining back in. The two hurl Saito out the window, ending the fight. He survives the fall, landing on a vehicle, although he may never box again. Kamiko is fighting Keihatsu henchmen alone, taking on several. She beats all but two, who beat her severely. She is held, bleeding everywhere. A familiar voice appears from the staircase nearby, monologuing about power and control. She recognizes one Janjun, the hostage. The hostage yells at her for not giving up her power and tainting the family legacy. He felt envy towards the position her father gave her, calling it a waste. Kamiko replies that even if he was close to her father, he's not a part of her immediate family, calling him a child. Janjun shoots her in the stomach, kicking her away. Yoichiro and Shang appear, firing at the henchman and Janjun, who escapes. Yoichiro provides cover fire, but Shang stands there, pointing a pistol at Kamiko's head. He stands there, hesitating to pull the trigger. Yoichiro grabs his arm and yells at him, saying that despite Kamiko's actions, she never intended to go for them. He yells that Shang is blinded with rage and that they must kill the hostage, who is responsible for everything. Shang sighs and pulls Kamiko up. She slaps him before laughing as she slumps against the wall. Shang smirks, but he is ashamed of himself as he frowns again. Shang says he'll take care of Janjun and that they'll have to deal with her later. Kamiko calls his bluff playfully. Shang walks away, smirking before gritting his teeth. Yoichiro and Shang run up the stairs. They reach a large office with the hostage standing in the middle of the room, pointing a gun at the door. He acknowledges their presence and drops the gun while still looking at the floor. He finally looks up, monologuing again. Shang calls him a coward, debating with him about his acts. He is, however, shut down when Janjun points out, everything the old unit has done can either be justified or unjustified. They are not exempt from committing the act itself, which is morally questioned. They are criminals doing the worst for the sake of living. They have killed and they have looted. Yoichiro and Shang stand to the sides of Janjun. Yoichiro says one thing. The difference is they fight to live. The two rush Janjun, who backpedals and fights the two. Janjun takes the upper hand, as the two are exhausted and wounded from the fight below. Shang is beaten the most, while Yoichiro is equally matched. Yoichiro is knocked down and Shang rushes Jeonjun. The two fight until Jeonjun stabs Shang in the stomach twice. Yoichiro yells as he dashes to Jeonjun. He continues to beat Yoichiro, who appears to be purely slugging at him. He no longer has control and only has fight in him. Jeonjun and Yoichiro have a punch-out. Just as Yoichiro delivers a devastating blow, Jeonjun turns and shoots Yoichiro, who is sent flying to the middle of the room. Yoichiro is on his knees, bleeding. The vest had saved him from a fatal wound, but he is bleeding. Jeonjun points the gun to his head, with Yoichiro gritting his teeth. Yoichiro had lost. Jeonjun rants about how Yoichiro and others like him are societal scum who feed at the bottoms for scrap, fighting to survive by engaging in the worst battles man could ever give. Jeonjun praises himself for his manipulation, boasting that he could obtain everything the world could offer. Just before he can continue, Yoichiro tells him to shut up. Jeonjun asks if he wants to die. Yoichiro is silent. He then says, "Let me speak." Jeonjun keeps the gun on him. Yoichiro goes on a rant. I'll read what it could have been. You are unworthy of breathing the same fucking air as any decent human being. You are unworthy of obtaining power that can control the future of others. I come from a family of brutality and love, and I have yet to face the consequences of my sins and acts against humanity. You don't get to be human. You don't get to be a man. You are a pathetic fucking rat who can't stand on his own legs to take a proper piss on the world. You'll never have the opportunity to feel success with your endless need to kill, manipulate, and control. The world is pathetic enough as it already is. Killing me will not make a major difference. I'll be dead, but I won't be suffering. End my fucking life before I end yours. I am pathetic enough in my own life, and there is nothing else for me to do. You couldn't have lost anything. I lost everything. You're given everything. You're spoon-fed the opportunity your shit family fucking offers you. I fucking hate you. You ruined everything for everyone. Free me from this constant state of lingering death, and let me sleep without having subhumans like you walk in the same world as me. I don't need to suffer. I don't deserve peace. I don't fucking care anymore. Kill me and finish it all. Pull the fucking trigger and stop being a pussy. Fucking do it. Do it! By the end, Yoichiro has tears in his eyes. It's not sad tears, it's frustration and anger tears. Jeonjun is shocked, taken aback. For a moment, he feels as pathetic as Yoichiro is. Yoichiro closes his eyes, waiting for the moment, and Jeonjun aims carefully. The glass all around shatters simultaneously. Figures surround the room, and multiple blades are thrown into Jeonjun as he attempts to flee. He is slowed by the constant blades being thrown at him. It becomes hard to see what his suit color was. Jeonjun dies, and Yoichiro is kneeling, sobbing. He breaks down, punching the floor and screaming. The figures watch in shock, some not even surprised. Shang grabs Yoichiro by the arms and tells him to look at him, asking him to please look at him. Yoichiro is still crying, but with the look of Shang's calm yet paining face. The two embrace in a hug, acknowledging that it's all over. Footsteps approach from behind, with a pair of legs avoiding the blood puddle left by Jeonjun. A bearded man appears, chuckling. Shang asks who he is and what does he want. The master introduces himself to Shang as Ishida. Master Ishida. Ishida was there to get the briefcases and kill Jeonjun. Apparently, they had spectated the entire event without being noticed. Shang asks why they didn't help. Ishida says that it wasn't their business and that they were only there to kill Jeonjun and obtain the briefcases. Shang asks what's important about the briefcases. Ishida says that the briefcases include dozens of pages and flash drives with private information of all the crime syndicates, shady companies, the Musubu Company, government officials, and the Keihatsu as a worldwide organization. All the information will go to the government. Ishida then asks if they're willing to join him. Shang curses him out and says no, as he no longer wants anything to do with the situation. Yoichiro interrupts and agrees. Shang disagrees, telling him that they've gone through so much. Shang says that no matter where they go, the government and Keihatsu will always know of them. Ishida says that Jeonjun is not the leader of the Keihatsu, but was a major part of it. Yoichiro says that he needs something to do because living normally was no longer approachable to him. Joining Ishida would mean he would be useful, and that he'll be free of consequence as long as he did whatever they asked. Shang says that he's giving his freedom up. Yoichiro says that he's choosing what to do with his freedom. Shang sighs and asks Ishida for 3 days before deciding. The group leaves through the building as Shang and Yoichiro stay. On the way out, a familiar figure stares for a moment before leaving. Yoichiro and Shang sit in a snowy landscape near a frozen lake. The two sit there for a while, observing the landscape. It is reminiscent of their former home Sumitai. Shang asks Yoichiro if he's really sure. He says he is. Shang knows he can't change his mind. Yoichiro asks Shang if he'll be lonely, who replies that he doesn't mind, saying that he needs some alone time to live life peacefully. He says that he'll visit Sumitai next week to accept the past. Yoichiro says that he'll try to visit Shang every now and then. The two hug before Yoichiro walks away from the boardwalk, with Shang watching him leave. He looks back to the lake. Through the window, Shaiji and Akinori's picture sit at a table with a candle nearby. A montage plays with Yoichiro engaging in operations, remaining emotionless through it all. Yoichiro is sitting in his room with a shrine of his own. He lights an incense candle and places it in a cup of rice. Shaiji and Akinori's photo are placed above. Nearby, there's a photo of the old unit together and happy. The final shot is of the Hikari Shokyun camp. A black car rolls up, and Raiden steps out. The end. That was Old Unit Part 2, and I hope you enjoyed the conclusion, despite it not being animated or anything. I assume parts of the story felt strange at times because of its simplicity or cliche moments. Maybe things were introduced and never addressed. Maybe the story felt a bit empty near the end overall. And I agree. All of this was not written in a script, but it was written in the moment before my voice lines. There was no formal script, but there were a bunch of ideas in my text file. It was vague and straight to the point. I had so much I wanted to include, which is why my story wasn't organized well. But that's about everything that I wanted to show. It feels nice to finally show you guys what Old Unit was going to be. I know I've been a bit rude or stubborn at times, and also mocking those who wanted a proper conclusion. As stated, I'm different now. I'm content with everything I'm doing, and I have nothing else to lose. It feels nice letting it go. I gotta say, it was a bit fun holding everything back and teasing a bunch of things, but that's all there is. Before I say my final words, I'll show you some leftover content. thank you so much for these years of support. I am truly grateful for what you guys have said and discussed. As I place the final nail in the coffin, I look back and remember all those memories we've made with the cinematic universe. And maybe I couldn't handle it all in the end, but I'm still glad to have experienced everything. No matter what, I thank you guys. And I hope that everyone's inspired to make stuff of their own and get it out. Despite leaving this project, I still feel passionate towards it, even though I have no more willpower to make it happen. This is all I can do for you guys. Take care of yourself, and see you soon.
900 subscribers and I'll release the old unit script.
We didn't need 900 subscribers for this.